So today is day 21. So far, it feels exactly the same. I don't feel especially tired or sore after workouts, and I feel pretty fine overall. So last week I said that I would put specifics to my exercises in this week's video, and I'll put that in the haiku drop box. And the specifics to the exercises aren't that important, but the only important fact is that for all my exercises, my weight has increased about 5 pounds since I began the diet, and the progress is normal but a bit slow in comparison to the months prior. And the reason I don't think it's because of the diet, it's just because I haven't been able to go to the gym consistently and do all the track meets this season. As we get on with today's topic, I want to talk about a little realization I had this week. So recently, I haven't been keeping up with the presidential race, and I decided to check on how the GOP candidates were doing. Turns out, Trump won Indiana by a landslide, and John Kasich and the Zodiac killer, Ted Cruz, dropped out of the race. So Donald Trump has a very good chance of becoming the Republican nominee. Oh my God, Donald Trump is going to become the Republican nominee. Everybody will have to vote for the Democrats. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really hope Clinton gets nominated. Now, the presidential race is an extremely important topic for everybody, including myself. We should know about the people who are running for president because, they're running for president. Also, this is especially for me, but I'm 15, and in a few years, I'm going to become an adult, so I'll actually have to worry about the issues the candidates discuss in their debates. You know, if Bernie becomes president, I might have free college. If Trump becomes president, I might have to pay for a really big wall. And if Hillary becomes president, I'll have a cyborg as a president. But to get back on the topic of me not really paying attention to this important news, I had all the means to educate myself on the issue, yet I decided to completely ignore it for the past few weeks, and despite the fact that it's extremely important to not only me, but pretty much everyone else in the world. Then it came to me that most people, including myself worldwide, stay ignorant to most of the pressing issues of the world, despite the fact that, we have the means in which to research it on our own. And another thing I thought of that most people, including myself, don't think about too much, other than Donald Trump, is food and where it comes from. Food is obviously very important because, it keeps us alive. And also when I'm talking about food, I'll be discussing mainly meat just because popular perception of how plants are produced are usually very accurate. Everybody knows that animals are raised and killed, then their carcasses are produced into meat products. However, most people don't have the comprehensive understanding of the practices of meat and dairy industries in the United States and many countries worldwide. I guarantee that if anyone spent 10 minutes online researching this kind of stuff and what they do in the meat and dairy industry, they would be absolutely horrified. Also in this video, I won't really cover the specifics to the different practices within the meat and dairy industry, but I'll have a few clips rolling throughout the video. The adverse conditions these animals are raised in promote a miserable life, which ultimately ends in their brutal slaughter for our meat. These atrocities are the basis to which vegans base their ethical values on, in face of what they see as injustice against other. First, we'll talk about the ethics of veganism. From an ethical standpoint, people become vegan as a reaction to what they see as unjust practices carried out by the animal industry. But first, we'll establish why vegans see these practices to be cruel. During the 18th century, philosophers began to distinguish humans and other animals with the terms of reason and sentience. Reason is the ability to think, while sentience is the ability to feel emotion. Humans possess both reason and sentience, while most animals only possess sentience. Now, most animals don't exhibit self-awareness, which is a perception of your own thoughts, beliefs, motivations, and emotions. But they do exhibit self-preservation, which is the want to protect yourself from harm or death. Given that all complex organisms, such as humans, chickens, and cows, possess sentience, which makes them equal, it is unethical to kill them for food. Killing animals for food is the same as killing humans for food, since all organisms which exhibit sentience are equal to one another. In addition, practices such as slitting throats and force feeding are seen as atrocities similar to that of genocide, such as the Holocaust. This is also why vegans oppose speciesism, which is the idea that being human grants humans greater moral rights over non-humans. Since these organisms display sentience like humans, it is unjust to subject them to death and cruel upbringing, for it is no worse than doing so to a human. So in a nutshell, vegans see the meat and dairy industry as proponents of mass murder, since the animals killed are morally equal to humans since they display sentience. Although it might seem like the vegans put up a good argument, surprisingly enough, the opposition actually has a very good argument themselves. To start, most people who support the consumption of animal products aren't keen on killing things, but the thing is, they don't see killing animals as equal to killing humans. As stated before, humans possess reason and sentience, while animals only possess sentience. The fact that humans have the ability to reason places themselves above animals. That is, in part, the definition of anthropocentrism. I can't pronounce that. Anthropocentrism is the belief that humans are the most significant and most important animals on this planet. Proof of this belief is on our unique ability to reason and our progression as a species in relation to other sentient beings. This ability to reason also distinguishes sentience in humans and other animals. Most scientists agree that animals and humans feel similar emotions of happiness, sadness, and so on. However, some argue that the human version of these emotions is linked with our thinking ability, thus making it heightened. If a friend or peer tells you that a family member of theirs passed away, most likely you would feel sadness. Despite the fact that you're not the one dying or the death doesn't directly affect you, you still feel sad. This is because when your friend tells you of the death, the sadness your brain evokes is done in relation to your own memories. For example, your brain will evoke the same sadness that you felt when your own family member passed away. In fact, for many emotions, the human brain bases them off of past experiences where similar feelings are evoked. Thus, the emotion is heightened. That's why adults usually cry during sad movies That's why more adults cry during sad movies than children. This is probably because the adult brain has more memories to evoke emotions with. With that said, the brain making use of our memories to evoke emotion relies on the organism's thinking power. Thus, this only works when the organism possesses reason. Humans being the only organisms with reason makes them the only creature that experience such heightened emotions. Overall, omnivores reason that humans are superior organisms due to our ability to reason, which sets us on a completely different level of understanding than animals. Both arguments make very solid claims, however, I definitely side with the pro-meat argument. The main reason is that the vegan argument assumes that animals are equal to humans, since the emotions they feel are equal to that of humans. However, this does not seem to be the case. The fact that animals lack reason completely changes their perspective and outlook on the world. I'll give an example of this. There is a cow and a child. You must choose to let one live and one die. A vegan would argue that the choice doesn't matter since both are equal since they both possess sentience. However, the opposition argues that the child is more important because he has both sentience and reason, which sets him apart from the cow. Taking into account both how humans and animals feel, this is my answer. If the cow were to die, not as many would be affected. Yes, the cow would be in fear until it actually died, but after it dies, there's no one there to mourn. The cow's parents have no emotional attachment to the cow simply because they have the child and they care for it just because it passes down their genes. The cow's parents have no emotional connection to their child as they care and protect for it only for the sake of passing on their own genes. At the same time, the cow's children don't care about the parents simply because they only rely for protection and food. If the child were to die, his friends and family would be absolutely devastated. This is because the bonds between the child and others are not based on necessity, but they're based solely on emotion. The relationship between the child and others is different from the cow since the human ability to reason allows for expression of emotion, which creates bonds that transcend material necessity. Now, for one last point, this is a bit of a personal thing, but it kind of bothers me how vegans always talk about animal issues and how animals are being oppressed, but they never mention any of the human injustices going on worldwide. I do agree with vegans in the sense that the animal industry has a lot of cruel and brutal and, at the end of the day, unnecessary practices, but at the same time, it's not all honey and roses for humans. If you're wondering what vegans don't mention, I'll just list a few things. There's the war in Ukraine, the oppression on women in the Middle East, and even worker abuse in the meatpacking industry is never mentioned by any vegan. In conclusion, given that humans have a superior understanding of the world and each other in comparison to animals, there is something evil about vegans setting animals as equal to humans and in many cases prioritizing animals over humans.